Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. So today we are going to be stretching those hamstrings and also stretching out a little bit of the glutes. So all you're gonna need is a TheraBand, like this. If you do not have a TheraBand, you can use a pair of yoga pants or anything that's a little stretchy or has some give to it. Now there are a lot of different colors of TheraBands. It doesn't matter because bring whatever you have, because you are able to shift the resistance and the slack. And so you're able to work with that through this exercise. So if you have a different color TheraBand than I do, that's okay. So you'll also need a mat to lie down on. So I'm gonna go ahead and meet you down on the mat, bringing your TheraBand with you or your alternative. Okay, so let's first just take a pelvic curl. So gentle tilt of that pelvis, warming up that lower lumbar spine, finding that curl without a squeeze in the bottom, and then uncurling. Bringing yourself across neutral into a little pelvic extension, which just means you're gently imprinting that tailbone into the mat. And let's come back and forth between those two spaces, curl and extension, a couple times, just to gently warm up, allowing those leg bones to drop into the backs of the hip sockets. And then we're gonna arrive at neutral. And so with our TheraBand, you're just going to place it over one foot. So right about at the ball of the foot here. And the other two ends, you're gonna hold in your hands. So as far as resistance goes, you're gonna wanna keep it slack enough so that you're not tensing up your upper body. And so if you notice that you're starting to crunch your shoulders, let them relax and maybe give yourself a little bit more slack. And now for your pelvis, we want to make sure that both sides of your pelvis are equally weighted. So as you're moving and you feel like you're starting to tilt one side or the other, make your movement a little smaller. So listen to what your body is telling you as far as where your strength and range of motion is, and honor that. So here we are. We're going to just gently start to flex and point the foot here, noticing how tight it might be through the back of the leg, through those hamstrings. And so just pointing and flexing, allowing that leg to drop into the back of the hip socket. And so now we'll take this into little ankle circles, really taking those ankle circles slow so you can feel that stretch along the outside, the inside, the back of the leg. And so I'm just gonna put my foot towards the camera here, just an ankle circle like that. Of course, with your legs straight. I just wanted to show you. Okay, so let's reverse directions now here. Again, taking that nice and slow. Bringing your foot back to center, gentle flex through the foot so you feel as though you're reaching through the heel. And then we'll take that out to the side, only bringing your leg as far as you can keep that equally weighted pelvis. And then we'll point and flex. Now you can hold that band in both hands, you can hold one end of the band in either hand, whatever is comfortable for you and allows you to maintain relaxation in the upper body. Bringing that back to center, little flex of the foot so you're reaching through the heel. And now we're gonna take that across the body for that big stretch. Reach through the heel, allow that leg to sink back into the back of the hip socket. And let's just hold and breathe here for a moment. One more deep breath as you let that leg sink as you reach through the heel. Now we'll bring that leg back to center. If you need to, you can adjust your grip. And we're going to stir that leg in the hip socket. So just a gentle circle. Again, only bringing your circle out as far as you can keep your pelvis stable. So if you're bringing your leg out far and you notice that your whole pelvis tilts, that's the indication to keep your range a little bit smaller. That indicates an opportunity to build more pelvic stability. And so just allowing, as you create these circles, your leg bone to get heavier and heavier in the back of the hip socket. And then we'll reverse those circles. Same thing here, only bringing that circle as wide as you can maintain your pelvic stability. One more circle here. And then gentle flex of that foot again. We're gonna once again just take this across the body. Letting that leg bone sink back into the back of that hip socket. As you breathe. And then you can go ahead and release that leg from the strap. And maybe just taking a moment to feel into your pelvis, feel into those hip sockets. And let's take another pelvic curl. And you might notice, however subtly, or maybe not so subtly, that the side that we just worked on feels a lot more spacious, maybe a lot heavier. Maybe it just feels a little bit more grounded into the mat. And so as you curl and you notice, let's bring yourself once again back to neutral, and we'll take that to the other side. So placing that band around the ball of your foot here. And once again, feeling into what the resistance is right for you right now. So we don't want any tension in the upper body. So if you need to slacken your grip, or perhaps hold with two hands, but whatever feels good for your upper body. And of course, you're welcome to shift that grip throughout this series. So let's just start by pointing and flexing. As you do so, letting your leg bone drop into the back of the hip socket. And just feeling that stretch. Let's now take this into ankle circles, taking it nice and slow so you can feel all those little stretches along the inside and the outside of the leg. And the back of the leg, or wherever you're feeling those stretches, but you don't want to rush it. You want to get the most out of it. And then let's reverse directions. Bringing in that little flex of the foot, let's take this out to the side. Once again, only coming as far as you can keep both sides of that pelvis stable. So continuing that reach. And then let's take this across the body, so across center, still reaching through that heel, letting that leg bone sink back into the hip socket. As you hold for 2 deep breaths. And just noticing maybe one side feels tighter than the other. And so as always, just meeting that where you're at. So the 2 sides of the body will feel different, and that's okay. Back to center here. Let's start to just stir that leg in the hip socket. Again, only bringing that leg circle as wide as you can keep a stable pelvis. And so feeling that leg just become heavier and heavier in the hip socket as you create your circles. And then we'll reverse. Back to center here. Find that little flex of the foot once again, reaching through the heel. And we're gonna take that last time just across the body. Reaching through that heel, letting that leg just sink back into the back of the hip socket. Breathing all the way down the length of your body. Widening those sit bones and hip bones with your inhale. And then bringing yourself back to center. You can allow that leg to just come out of the strap here. And let's take another pelvic curl. So just the way we started, and feeling that new sense of space and weightedness through the hips. Nice. And so then as you come up, standing up, taking a couple steps around the room here, noticing how it feels in the hamstrings, in the hips. And I hope you found this supportive. I'll see you back here next time on the Wise YouTube channel with more tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Take care.